I'm going to give you the most complete view I can about burnout. Now, obviously, I don't know all the things, but I've been through burnout. So just to kind of tell you about my burnout time first, is that it was about 2017. I was getting kind of tired of programming during that time. I wanted something different at that point. And during that time, my wife had a miscarriage. And if you don't know anything about a miscarriage, there's just these points in time where women, sometimes their hormones get all jacked up and they actually go through like pretty intense depression. And that intense depression just made things really just difficult. It was really hard to understand or connect with my wife, to really understand what she was going through. I just didn't have any tools or understanding to be remotely equipped for that, or to be even a good husband during that time. Because I just didn't understand. And so just the pressures of work, trying to change my life and all this kind of stuff and all that, all of a sudden I just found myself just hating work, hating everything that I was doing. And so literally for 1 to 2 years, I just did nothing but just kind of in all my spare time, play video games, trying to kind of escape it, trying to do the minimal amount of work, just really feeling out of control and just really disliking life, generally speaking. It was a really tough time. And right towards the end of this, maybe it was 2016 to be completely fair. I can't remember precisely when it was. I want to say it's 2016 actually. But then at some point, this mentality kind of changed. And I started doing some side projects, and I found myself just loving coding again and getting all pumped up and just kind of figuring out life all over again. And so that's kind of my quote unquote burnout story, which I think everybody, I'm sure if we took a poll in chat, so many people probably have their own burnout story right now in chat that know all about how it feels and kind of what they went through, right? And it kind of made me realize something, is that one, I had an expectation of the world. I had an expectation that I should enjoy work. That work shouldn't be satisfying. It should give me some level of purpose. And the thing is that your job is never going to give you purpose. Likely never going to give you purpose. Now, there could be some jobs that can give you purpose, but it's probably not going to be creating a UI for a company or creating the backend, or doing any of that. You're probably not going to get much purpose. Even if you're working at a nonprofit doing something good, you probably still will find yourself not having purpose from it, right? It's just the reality of life. Whereas satisfaction, you can be satisfied with what you build, right? And this just leads to a better life. And so my expectation was a should on this one, and not realizing it was probably this. And so that was really painful and difficult moment in my life. And then on top of all of that, I had some external pressures that were just kind of pushing the things that I talked about right up here, right? Things that I just didn't handle well, didn't know how to handle well, probably wasn't mature enough to really understand it to begin with. And so it just it all collapsed in on me. And the thing that I kind of got over is that time plus vacations made nothing better, at all, nothing better. It just made the problem worse and worse and worse and worse. By year 2, I was just really loathing things. Right, I was really, really, really sad. And this is part of the reason why I started streaming, just to do anything else other than work. Fast forward, so number 3, the redemption, how I kind of came out of this personally, is that when I started just building things and just remembering the reason why I enjoyed it. I had this specific task of refactoring all of Netflix.com's billboard. I just needed to make it different. We needed to allow for different hooks, different behaviors. I had to make trailers play. I had to get subtitles in there. We had to do a bunch of testing, all different stuff. And so I just redid the whole billboard. And instead of just continuing down this mentality of this, where I just felt shitty, burnt out, hated everything, for whatever reason, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try to make this fun, because right now this ain't working for me, right? I can't live this life of constantly being upset. I gotta try to just find the joy in this. And that helped a tremendous amount all of a sudden. I was just finding the joy in things again. And then simultaneously, I had a friend named Guy Sereno. So that's some guy. Nice try, guy. Nice try. Known as some coding guy on the internet. He builds really cool stuff, really, really cool stuff. Him and I won a Hack Day Award in 2016. Early in the year 2016, we won a Hack Day Award at Netflix for rewriting the entire data model and making it 100x more efficient and serving it and outperforming production while using servers that were actually Samsung S3s or Galaxy 3s, whatever they were. We were just crushing them, just crushing the world. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun during those days. But he asked me to do a charity event for Netflix on Twitch. And so what did I do? I streamed playing Fortnite because that's what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was doing. It was Twitch. You just do Fortnite, right? You do Halo or Fortnite. I chose Fortnite and just did that. And after a few months, I just tried programming. And I just really wanted to do some side projects. So I was like, why not? I'll just stream some of my work because I'm working on some open source stuff. And then I'll just stream some side projects. This plus that just reminded me of why I enjoyed programming so dang much. And it just made me so much more like it just finally kind of cured that burnout that I've been having, which is that I just simply forgot why I did it in the first place. And everything went from being satisfied to being a chore. No matter how cool it could have been in my mind, I made it bad. Like my mentality was completely tilted and shifted. And yeah, there's external pressures and things in which probably led to all of that happening. But nonetheless, my expectations of the world greatly shifted. And I put more in something that it should not have had. I put more into my job and what it should do than what it actually can do. And it just led for years of just feeling super shitty. And then I came out of it by not vacationing anymore, by dropping a lot of the video games that I was playing, by dropping a lot of those things and actually building and programming more, not less. And for me, that's how I got out of burnout. Now, this may not be the same story for all of you guys. It could be a completely different one. But to me, rediscovering the joy of why you do what you do is a good thing. Remembering that you can take every challenge and see it as an opportunity or as a hurdle, right? You get the choice. Is it a hurdle? Or is it an opportunity? And when you look at everything as an opportunity, things just get so much better. The last thing I had to do at Netflix before I quit, and I quit in the middle of, which I do genuinely feel bad, but I had to, is we had a service that had a 78% uptime. Okay? That's crazy. And the 78% uptime was for all internal testing. You could not trust on television UI if a test failed, if it failed for a real reason or a fake reason. People merged with Red all the time. There was absolutely no confidence in anything that was going on. It was wild. We tested in production unironically. And so our goal was to fix that. By the time I left, it was in the 90s. I can't remember quite where it was, somewhere between 98%, 99%. But we also discovered that hundreds of tests weren't being ran. And I kind of reported, like, I'm seeing this really weird thing. And then somebody else named Gustavo, a fantastic Brazilian and an amazing engineer, also said, hey, I think we're not running all the tests. And I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. And so what was our actual percentage? I don't even know. But nonetheless, I could have looked at this project, which is a project in which many engineers worked on it for 3 years, created an absolute cluster festival. And then many people quit from it and moved on from Netflix from it. And I could have looked at this as shitty, right? Because this is just a shitty job. But instead, I looked at it as, how can we take something bad and make it good, right? And make it into something that's amazing with a nice little bow on top and wrapping paper and all that. And it was all shiny. And took it as an opportunity to challenge myself to be able to take shit and turn it into something great. And guess what? I didn't find this job to be inconvenient or bad. I was satisfied in all the things, and I was excited about it. And so I just kind of have carried that mentality for a long time. And so that's my only urging and my only understanding of burnout is that for me, I cannot cure burnout by taking a vacation. I can only cure burnout personally by perspective. I agree. At the end of the day is the most important thing in your whole life. How we see things drastically changes how we act on the world and the same outcomes. Yes, it's very, very true. They even say that if you have things you need to lift and you lift heavy things like couches or whatever, but you think about it as a chore, like your chance of injury goes up. Your what's it called? Your body doesn't behave the same way. But if you look at it as exercises, like as actual physical exercise, your body will actually like break down the muscles, and you'll get something that is resemblant of exercise on your muscles. Like there's all these weird things about your perception of life changes how your body even is like reacts. In other words, your body and your soul are not some two separate distinct entities. They are extremely, extremely interwoven. Hylomorphic would be the term that Greeks used. So don't treat your job as a chore. I mean, your job is a chore. Like I do think I'm understanding this older perspective that you shouldn't think your job should be fun. But I do think this idea of even if your job isn't fun, how can you look at your job just with a good perspective of like, okay, how can I make this into something really good? Like, how can I do a really good job? Because I typically find that when I treat something where I try to do the best I can, I'm really like satisfied in it. I feel really good. But when I try to go like as shortcutty as possible, I find myself becoming less and less because it's just all about productivity. It's never about like the thing itself. It's all about maximizing productivity at all points. How to understand if the burnout is not a matter of perspective? I don't know. So that's the thing is I only know burnout by external factors and matters of perspective. I've never had any other kind. I was working a lot, yes, but the number of hours didn't seem to really matter. So this topic hits hard. Silicon Valley immigrant painstakingly built a new social circle, kids in school, etc. Oh, dang, yeah. The Silicon Valley is a really hard place to immigrate to as well because the Silicon Valley is not a place to make a lot of friends. You know what I mean? Like even your social circle is so transient. Often you'll find that you'll become friends with somebody and within 2 years they move, they leave. It's a very hard place to actually have real, true friendship, not friendships of utility or pleasure. Now, stuck with high-stress, burnout-prone job with an attractive RSU package, Amazon. My exit would be to leave the U.S. for Sweden, but I'm getting kind of attached to this crazy place. Yeah, dude, that's a really tough spot you're in. This is one of those very intense phrases. I'm going to say it. I don't believe it in its entirety, but it is in some sense true, which is that it's like a form of modern-day slavery. I know it's not. You have RSUs, you're gaining money, there's a lot of good things about it, but they get to control your life. Do you know what I mean? They get to say, hey, you need to work more. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Say no? You can't. Like, you literally can't because they own your right to be in this country, and that's really sucky. And so you find yourself completely attached. You know what I mean? Indentured servitude. Indentured servitude might be a better term for it, which it just is really, it's really effed up. Actually, I do have a green card. Okay, so this is good. So if you have a green card, that you should highly consider moving. Like honestly, you don't have to live in the the Silicon Valley. Just want to let you know, man. A lot of opportunities out there. Utah, much better place, much lower cost of living, lots of tech jobs. You know what I mean? You have options. Aren't there laws against exploitation? Yeah, I mean there's laws against murder. Yet people murder. Did you live? Yeah, I did 6 years in the Bay Area with 3 kids. North Carolina's booming. If you got a green card, you don't have to live. He said he's going attached to the valley. Yeah, I'm sure he's going attached to the valley. I'm just saying that if you find yourself working in a place that you're constantly burnt out, you can't be there for your family, you can't do any of it, maybe you got to try something different. You know what I mean? Good on you getting a green card, working hard, doing all that. Like, that's real. That's real. The U.S. is overrated. I think there's a lot of really great things about the U.S. I wouldn't want to live somewhere else. It's also all I know. So that's tough right there. It's really tough because it's hard to enjoy. It's hard to find the joy in what you do when no one else does it. A lot of times I try to put on my hat of thinking about the time in which people had to like just plow a field. Like that's it. There was no choice. If they didn't do it, they were going to die. Like how would you doing that year over year? How are you going to actually get through that without just being an absolute just hater of life? Yet people seem to have a lot of joy back then. I think that they took pride in their hands, pride in their work, and just and working hard felt good. I do think using your body also probably helps a whole bunch. That I don't use my body, you know what I mean? I use my fingertips and my brain, and I think that really makes things harder to really enjoy. Because again, we're both mind and soul. We're both soul and body, right? You can't just simply use your mind only. You gotta use more. Working hard feels good. And working out feels good. Working out feels really, really good. So I do a lot of working out. It really does help the upstairs. I strongly recommend really getting into a good workout routine if you're feeling like you're getting close to burnout, because working out can really, can really help the soul. Just try to give you some real takes here, because I think a lot of times people give you fake takes, especially on burnout. Just like, oh, just take a vacation, it'll be better. And you know what? It's not better. My wife has been doing a lot of stuff with rentals lately. And she was I definitely say she was kind of getting near this kind of like burning out phase. And we went on a vacation, and I just said, hey, you got to be kind of careful coming back from a vacation. I think that you can a lot of times feel worse. And she's like, nah, things will be great. And we came back, and she's like, I actually feel worse after my vacation. I was like, yeah, it does. Like it feels worse. Why does it feel worse? Because I think it makes your expectations worse. Because before you left, you had this like why doesn't things feel good mentality. And so you leave. And when you come back, you left and you went where you had no responsibility. You had no reason to do anything. You could sleep in, you could do whatever you want whenever you wanted. And you kind of like emphasize this expectation that life should somehow be this pleasure cruise, right? And so then when you come back and it's still not a pleasure cruise, your work is still your work, your expectations are still your expectations, if not worse, and you're still not satisfied, you still have no joy, and now you come back where you don't feel like doing anything because you didn't do anything for multiple days. You have just so much momentum going against you.